Hi, I'm Hannah Sayce and I'm here with Simone Austin, who is a dietitian. Well, you've worked with so many sports clubs. So who are those?
At the moment, Hannah, I work with Hawthorn Football Club, so that's AFL. I work at Melbourne Heart, which is A-League soccer. I've worked at the Australian cricket team and Melbourne Storm Rugby League and a little bit with the Melbourne Rebels amongst a few Olympic swimmers and other athletes along the way. So certainly have worked with quite a few.
Wow, that must be pretty cool to work with all those people.
Yeah, I mean, they're ordinary people like you and I, but they're certainly very motivated to do well at what they're doing.
So today I've brought in my dream lunchbox for you.
You want me to take a look?
Yeah.
I'm not sure about this lunchbox, Hannah.
Well, actually this isn't what I usually take to school.
I'm glad to hear that. Otherwise you'd be taking a lot of trips to the dentist, I think. Let's have a look. What do you like about this lunchbox? It's not appealing to me. What appeals to you about this lunchbox?
Well, tastes pretty good.
Okay, you like the taste. What else do you like about it?
That's about it.
Really? So you choose all these foods because you like the taste? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to challenge you to think about some different foods you could put in your lunchbox that I still guarantee you'd like the taste for.
Well, muesli bars are healthy, aren't they?
Look at the top of this one. So if we can have a look. What do you think they call that on the muesli bar?
Well, that's just yogurt, isn't it?
Yeah, no. So we need to read the labels. And if you have a look at the label on those yogurt top sort of muesli bars, the first ingredient, can you take a guess?
Probably sugar.
Sugar. Then it's usually a vegetable fat. And then a little bit of yogurt powder. So
That doesn't sound too appetizing.
I would really call that like white chocolate. So it doesn't mean you can never eat muesli bars, but I wouldn't put them in my healthy section. I put them more like eating a sweet biscuit or a chocolate bar. There's a few others though, so if you can try and look for ones that have got nuts and some dried fruit and not too much of the glucose syrups and other things to try and stick them together, then they're okay to have occasionally.
Oh, okay.
Let's look what else we've got in here.
Well, biscuits can't be too bad.
Have you made biscuits at home?
Yeah.
Can you think of a couple of ingredients that you put in that biscuit?
Flour.
That's okay. What else?
Sugar.
Yep, lots of sugar and
butter.
Yeah. So if you remember when you start to cook a biscuit, what do you cream together? Butter and sugar. So that's the main ingredient. So again, they're an occasional. And in your lunchbox, maybe you could have one of these, but not all of them.
But I've always heard that chocolate's good for you as well.
That's sort of a way of justifying it. Chocolate's got some antioxidants that might be good for your heart. Not really. Sugar, fat, small amounts. But you know why I think more? Because it makes you feel happy more than probably it's going to be good for us nutritionally. At least you've chosen a small amount.
Yeah, I would do with a lot more if I could.
So it's about having a small amount of chocolate and then balancing it with other things. What about over here? What do you think? What would you choose from there maybe? What could we swap? Let's improve this lunchbox.
I don't know, maybe for the biscuits.
Yep, let's take out your biscuits. Let's put something from here in.
Maybe something like these.
Okay, yep. So we could put something on that to make it a bit more appetizing for you. We could put a nut spread if you were allowed to have nuts at school.
Oh, okay.
Or cheese. Do you like cheese?
Yes.
So that would give you calcium and protein. So it's got some fat, but at least it's got some goodness. We could even put another spread, like maybe some Vegemite or something on those. Yeah?
Yeah.
Or a salsa dip or a tzatziki dip or a hummus dip.
Okay.
Do you like any of those?
Yeah.
All right, let's whack some of these in there. All right, so we've got rid of the biscuit. We put some. What else could we put in there that you'd like? Might remove a few of these lollies and make some room.
But don't we need some energy?
You can have a few, but you'll get energy from these because they've got carbohydrate. So any sort of carbohydrate is going to be broken down to glucose and give you energy.
So what are carbohydrates?
So carbohydrates are the foods like potatoes, pumpkin, corn, your breakfast cereal, bread. Even fruit has got carbohydrate in it because it's got sugar. Even yogurt and milk have a bit of carbohydrate. It's a very good question. It's just that we don't need it with nothing else in there. So this is pure sugar. We need B group vitamins, we need some fibre, we need some zinc, all those other things that come with good quality carbohydrates. So I'm sorry, but these are going out. I'll leave you a couple.
Okay.
There we are. So find another carbohydrate on there that we could maybe put in instead.
So is bread carbohydrate?
Good. Yep. So let's put that in. Would you eat cheese and lettuce?
I'll give it a try.
Beautiful. And that's really important to give it a try. So we generally don't like a food at first. We don't like the taste, we don't like the smell, it's unfamiliar, the texture. Take a guess, how many times do you think you need to try a food before you're going to like it?
5?
Up it, double it, 10 times probably.
10 times. Oh.
So after 10 times, if you tell me you don't like it, then we're okay. But otherwise, 10 times.
So what about this seeds in the bread?
Don't you like those?
Well, I usually have the plain bread.
Okay, so the seeds will give you some extra fibre, a little bit of protein, a good type of fat called monounsaturated fats, a little bit of zinc, other minerals like magnesium, copper. You might think that's a metal, but we actually need small amounts of it in our body. And they're all in those sort of things. So seeds are really good. So try and eat. Do you think you could try those?
Yeah, I'll give them a go.
Beautiful. So we've replaced the lollies for the sandwich. What about, you can leave one other treat in. So we could either have half the muesli bar or we can have the chocolate. What do you think?
I might swap out the muesli bar. It's less appetizing after what you said. What are these?
So dried apricots. So you can have some, you just don't want too many, because the difference between dried fruit and fresh fruit is that dried fruit simply had the water removed.
Oh. So are these the same?
So yes, they're just grapes that have been dried.
Oh.
So if you have 10 of those, it's like eating the sugar of 10 grapes.
Oh, okay.
So you can put a few in, and then I think I'd like you to choose something that's fresh, so some sort of vegetable component. That's what most of us are lacking, is getting enough fibre and enough vitamins and minerals to give us all our energy.
Okay, so maybe a few carrots then?
Good idea.
So do carrots really help you see in the dark?
I thought you might ask me that. Well, they've got vitamin A or beta-carotene in them, and that's involved in eye health, but it's also important for lots of other functions in our body. So they might not suddenly make you be able to see in the dark, but they'll certainly help your sight. What about a tomato?
I'm not really keen on eating a whole tomato.
If you buy little ones like this, or the smaller cherry tomatoes, or you've seen the ones that look like little pears, they're quite sweet.
Really?
So chop those up and you can just eat them like you would a strawberry or another berry as something different.
Okay, if you say so.
All right, that's a pretty good lunchbox. If you wanted some extra protein, you could add some tuna.
And what are these?
Some seeds. So things like pumpkin seeds, you can have sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, lots of different ones. A bit like what's in your bread. Bit of protein, bit of good fats and a lot of fibre.
Cool.
Okay.
So maybe just take some tuna as well.
You could do that. Got a pretty big lunchbox now.
Yeah, I think this will last me for a while.
Very good. If you wanted to swap the cheese, you could swap for some yogurt to give you some other calcium. If you were maybe having tuna in your sandwich, you could swap to some yogurt.
I've heard that yogurt isn't so good for you.
Okay. Some yogurts on the market are nearly like eating ice cream, so they're packed with sugar. Other yogurts have got a bit less sugar and they've got a lot of protein, a lot of calcium to keep your bones strong, and particularly if you're doing a lot of exercise or you're growing, calcium is really important. They've also got a probiotics. Have you heard of those?
No, I've never heard of them.
Have you heard that yogurt's got bacteria in it?
Yeah. That doesn't sound too great.
No, so bacteria is something we usually don't want. Do you know you've got millions of bacteria in your gut right now? We call our gut from here to the end, stomach.
That's a lot of bacteria.
This has got good bacteria in it, if you can think of that. And so that's one of the main health benefits of yogurt, is that you're eating good probiotics to help your gastrointestinal tract stay nice and healthy.
Cool.
So next time you eat yogurt, you won't have any bacteria swimming around or feeling around that you notice, but you'll be helping your immune system and your gastrointestinal tract.
So when foods say light or diet on them, does that mean that they're healthier?
You're full of good questions. You could be a supermarket sleuth. So it's very much in marketing, a lot of it. So there's food law, and food law allows companies to put certain claims on the food, but people tend to try and see how they can get around that. And light's a good example, because LITE, from my English, that doesn't actually spell light.
Yeah.
So it could mean the packet's light. There's not much in there. Not much salt, maybe sometimes light could be. What do you think it tries to make you think that package is?
That it's healthy.
And it's low in fat is what they're often trying to say.
But a lot of them do say low fat. Does that mean that they're really low fat?
Yeah, if it says low fat rather than light, it does mean that it'll be low in fat. So food law will tell them for a certain food group like milk or yogurt, they'll tell them what amount of fat in that product is equal to low fat. So they shouldn't be lying on that one. Or bending the truth, we should probably say. Sugar, though, is another one. So sometimes the fat could be low and they'll just up the sugar content.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
So we do have to read not just the food label, like the nutrition information panel, but also read the ingredients. And the ingredients go from largest in quantity as the first ingredient and down to smallest, meaning the least ingredient.
Yeah, I find that with fruit juice sometimes. I've read the packets before and it's sugar and then it's like 2% concentrated
fruit.
Yeah.
So juice, that brings a good one about a discussion about juices, is that really we should be trying to eat our fresh fruit rather than be juicing it too much. So even if you're buying a juice that says no added sugar, that doesn't mean no sugar.
So what about fruit smoothies or that kind of thing?
Try where you can, if you're going to make any sort of smoothie, that it's mostly vegetables with one fruit.
Okay, so how do we put vegetables into a smoothie?
You could put some spinach, you could put some kale, you could put cucumber, you could put avocado, any of those into a green smoothie, and then maybe sweeten it with a bit of apple or a bit of pear or a banana, and then you'll be getting a lot of goodness in one. You could add a bit of yogurt, you could make a milk one if you wanted to, you could put beetroot, that makes good ones, but don't have smoothies too much. You still need to eat your vegetables on your plate at night time.
But doesn't the smoothies help you with getting your fruit content?
It does, but it tends to remove a lot of the fibre, and it means that we're getting a lot of sugar in there in one spot, and it goes into your body really quickly, whereas if you're eating it as a whole piece of fruit like this, it's going to take longer to digest, so you don't get that big sugar rush.
I never thought about that. And on the fruits subject, I've heard about vitamin C and fruits and that kind of thing. So what kind of fruit do I want if I want vitamin C?
Would you like this?
That doesn't look quite so appetizing.
So lemons are very high in vitamin C. So you can even squeeze them on top of a salad or squeeze them on top of your veggies, because vitamin C is destroyed by heat. So you do need to eat something fresh.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So if you didn't want a lemon, I could let you have an orange. The other part is, even the apple, the pear, the grapes, the apricots all have a small amount, but berries are particularly high in vitamin C. Your tomato that you've got in there, whoa, your tomato, Billy threw it at you, is high in vitamin C. Capsicum.
So even vegetables?
Yeah, are high in vitamin C. It's just that we often cook them and that will destroy the heat. So if you could put in your sandwich there a little bit of sliced up capsicum or put it into your salad, you're going to get a lot of vitamin C that way.
So is there anything else if I get sick of just fruits and vegetables?
Absolutely. What about, we haven't talked about meat. So what about protein foods? So particularly if you're very active, what sort of protein foods, meats do you like?
I like chicken and fish.
Yep. So chicken, fish, lamb, beef, kangaroo even. Have you tried kangaroo?
No, I've never tried kangaroo.
Yeah. Kangaroo is widely available now, and it's got about 1% fat, whereas even lean red meat has about 10%. Your chicken's good though. All of those ones you said are good. You could have pork, you could have eggs, you can have legumes or lentils, which have got some protein in them. Your dairy products, your milk, your tuna, your nuts, all have got protein.
But I thought it was just meat.
No, so you've got a lot more than that. Even cheese, all important. Tofu, soy have all got protein as well. In your red meat though, that you said, it's got iron in it. So do you know what iron does?
I've heard of it, but I don't really know what it does.
So iron's really important to carry the oxygen around your bloodstream. So if you're doing a lot of exercise, your body has to create more red blood cells to carry the oxygen, which means you're going to need more iron for those red blood cells. So red meat's really important for those.
So we're basically having a lot of metal.
Yeah, exactly. But in milligram amounts, so really, really small amounts, but it needs to be small and regular because your body is very fine-tuned. And if we lack something, then we find that we're going to have a deficiency.
Okay, so I'd just like to, talk about what I usually eat in my dinner.
Good idea.
So breakfast.
Apart from your lunchbox. Yeah.
A bit of a makeover. Breakfast, the most important meal of the day. So what do you recommend? Because I don't know whether any of the stuff is healthy because they say that cereals have lots of sugar and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So it's best to try and go for your simple cereals. So anything that doesn't have a lot change, like oats for a porridge, could be a barley porridge, it could be an oats, it could be a quinoa porridge, a plain, like a wheat-based biscuit, a plain sort of cereal, add some fruit so that you don't have to add just sugar, some yogurt, maybe an egg on toast, tomato, baked beans, omelette. Yeah.
I usually have like muesli and that kind of thing. Is
good.
Muesli good?
Yeah. It's try and get a natural muesli rather than a toasted muesli.
Oh, okay.
And because the toasted muesli's often had lots of extra added fat to it. So if we can have a natural muesli, get a few seeds, bit of nuts, good variety in there. You can even make your own.
And, sometimes we all get the cravings for sugar. What do you think is a good snack or that kind of thing?
It's good to have a balance. Now, do you like ice cream?
I love ice cream.
I thought you might like that. A rule of thumb I have with my athletes, and particularly I remember my rugby league players, and I'd say to them they needed to have less ice cream. And they've got pretty big appetites, those boys. So I'd say your rule is half fruit and half ice cream. You know what they'd say? That's easy, I'll just get a bigger bowl. So no, half the ice cream. So you can have a scoop of ice cream and have some fruit. So you're getting your sweet from your fruit and from your ice cream, but you're not overdoing it. It's okay to have some of those foods. It's just about the balance. It's a bit like balancing this.
What about when you are doing exercise and what do you snack on then? Because I don't think you can really get a bowl of ice cream.
No, exactly. You know what's a good idea is often to have like 2 lunches rather than filling up on a whole lot of snack foods where we then get caught up on these things. I would be packing a lunchbox like what you have, but if you're going to after school training for football or netball or dancing or whatever you're doing, I would be having nearly like a second lunchbox. So I might have another half a sandwich in it, might have some dry biscuits with a spread in it, might have a muffin you've made at home or a sultana or a date muffin or scone or something like that, might have a tub of yogurt. Or if you're going to be lucky enough to come home first before you go to your class, baked beans on toast, scrambled egg in the microwave on toast. Might be a bowl of cereal like you'd have for breakfast. Could be a bowl of soup. So instead of a lot of snack foods, I'd go for meal foods before your training.
Okay, thanks. Well, that's a bit of help with my diet. I dance and you work with footballers. So how's the diet different?
Okay, so we still have some of the same principles like preparing before training, what to eat afterwards for recovery, but they probably have greater volumes and that would be one of the biggest differences. So it might be things like for you and them is to have some carbohydrate before training. So it's making sure you've fueled yourself with some fruit or a banana, or it could be a glass of milk or a sandwich, something like that. They would be the same, but some of them might just have larger amounts. It depends how long you're going to dance for though. You might need just as much. So in some ways that's the same. Hydration might be something that's a bit different because their game often goes for 2 hours and it's about making sure that they've had enough to drink because if they don't, they're going to cramp. But again, a dancer still needs to worry about that as well. So they're probably lots of ways very similar.
You mentioned recovery foods. What does that mean?
Okay, so within about half an hour after exercise, your enzymes in your body are really keen, a bit like little Pac-Man, you might not remember that game, but that go around and chomp up to try and get all the glucose in to replace what you've just burnt. So we want to eat something within half an hour. So those recovery foods could be even things that we've got in front of us here, like the bananas, the pear. We want something that's got some carbohydrate and protein that's going to get in quickly. It might be a time that allow you to have a couple of your lollies, and then it might be a pre-made milk drink that's already got some carbohydrate and protein in it. It might be the cheese sandwich, could be a meat sandwich, might be a handful of dried fruit and nuts. So the idea is some protein and carbohydrate and fluid. So, and some water afterwards, and maybe some electrolytes in that water as well.
What are electrolytes?
Yeah. So electrolytes is a fancy word for things like salt, like sodium and potassium, magnesium, calcium. You might have seen that written on some different drinks full of electrolytes.
Yeah.
What they do is they help rehydrate your body and they help your muscles work. So if you don't have enough sodium and potassium, you'll often cramp, which is when your muscles get stuck like this together. So we need electrolytes to keep that going. Plus you lose them in your sweat. So that's why you need to replace them.
Oh, okay. So we're talking a lot about vitamins. What do you think are the top 3 vitamins for kids?
Oh, the top 3. Let me think. Probably calcium, or which is probably a mineral, maybe not technically vitamin. Can I include minerals?
I'm sure you can.
Okay.
So where can we find that?
So calcium main is in your dairy products, so your milk and your yogurts and your cheese, a little bit in soy, small amount in things like almonds and broccoli, or other foods that have got what we call fortified, which means added calcium to them, to like soy milks or things like that. And I choose calcium for bones. The second one, maybe we'll go vitamin C, because it's very important for your immune system. And did you know that as an athlete or a person who's exercising a lot, you put your body under stress?
Really?
And so when you put your body under stress like that, that means that your immune system is at risk. So we want vitamin C to help sort of combat that, to make your immune system as strong as you can. Can you remember one of these foods that had vitamin C?
The lemon over there.
Yep, the lemon, the orange, kiwi fruit.
And didn't you even say the tomatoes?
Correct. Tomatoes are quite good. And berries, particularly high in vitamin C. Last one. Oh, it's a real hard one between iron, which we need because we're growing and we're doing a lot of exercise, and B group vitamins. So maybe I'll choose B group vitamins because we haven't spoken about them.
What are B group vitamins?
So you might have heard of things like niacin, riboflavin, thiamine, often on the Vegemite container or on your breakfast cereal container.
I think I've heard of a few.
So they give you energy, or they don't quite give you energy. They're involved in the energy production reactions that happen in your body. I sound like a chemistry lecture.
Yeah.
So we need those.
Okay. So plenty of vitamins.
So B group vitamins we find mostly in carbohydrate containing foods, which makes sense because they provide you with your energy, and then you need the B group vitamins to break them down and actually give you the energy.
I'd also like to talk about maybe some fad diets. They say like don't have carbohydrates. Is that really helpful for you?
Okay, good. That's a good question. There's so much money out there to be made about dieting and this and that, and it's all confusing. I don't know. We all need to have carbohydrate food, but we don't need to have a pile of it like this. So it's really about how much of it we have. And a good way to think about that and forget about that fad diet is to divide your plate into 3, a third for your protein, a third for your carbohydrate foods, and a third for your vegetables. And that's a good way of doing it. So we don't need fad diets. We don't need the grapefruit diet and the soup diet. And we have to eat healthy for most of the time.
Okay, so just in moderation?
Yeah, so sorry we just left a couple of those lollies in there. It's fine to have a few. And it's fine to have birthday parties or special occasions, but then we need to make sure that probably 70 to 80% of your diet is what we would call from the healthy parts of the food pyramid.
So carbohydrates are really important.
For energy. So yes, they are. Sometimes I've got athletes who might need to lose weight because they're in a certain weight category. Could be a rower, could be a martial arts person, or could even be one of my footballers who's had a knee injury or an ankle injury. I have to get muscle off them even. So people who want to lose weight sometimes go, I'm not going to have any carbohydrates. They still have to because they need energy, but we might just reduce how much they have. So it's all about your quantities. Energy in, energy out. It's like a seesaw. We just have to change it. So if you get injured, you might have a little bit less energy in because you're not going to have as much energy out. So we just need to balance it.
All right. Thank you. So there's a lot of kids who want to be athletes and dancers. What are some top 3 tips?
To be a professional athlete or dancer, okay. Organisation. Now, I know you think that doesn't sound like anything to do with diet, but it is. If we find that you get home from training or you haven't organised your lunchbox properly or you've got up late, then how will you have a good breakfast, a good lunch, pre-snack training? So organisation is my top one. You have to make nutrition a priority, just like you would getting your new ballet shoes or your new footy boots or your new outfit. It's part of that. So organisation. My second one is probably being open to new foods so that you can get a good range of foods into your diet, and that means you'll get a range of vitamins and minerals that you need.
Yeah, I guess I've got to do that. I'm a little bit picky with my vegetables.
So just trying new things, like the kangaroo I suggested you try. And the third one is what people often forget is recovery. So everyone wants to know what they should eat before the competition, before the dance, everything. It's really important to recover well because you've got to train the next few days. You might have to do another competition the next week. So packing your recovery foods and making sure they've got a protein, a carbohydrate and a drink.
Okay. And also you're talking about organisation before. I find that I do get what you're saying. I tend to, if I haven't organised it properly, I tend to throw in the less healthy food.
Yeah. So often we tend to think it's a bit like fast food, isn't it? Going through the drive-through. We have to try and think about making the healthy foods the easy choices. So making sure your pantry's stocked with the foods that you want to have. Making sure if you've run out of your favourite cereal that you tell whoever's doing the shopping at home, or that you write yourself a list. Cutting up a whole lot of these carrots and cucumbers so they're in the fridge, ready for when you're starving, you want to have a snack. Because you probably go for those foods because you open the packet and they're easy. Healthy foods like that do need some preparation. So get the whole bag of carrots, chop them all up. It's already there for the whole week. Wash all the grapes and have them in a bowl ready. So just being prepared and making it a priority. It's got to be a priority.
Also, a lot of kids are conscious about their body image. What would you say about that?
We've got to remember that everyone's in different shapes and sizes, and even yourself. So as you go through puberty and you start to, girls in particular, starts to put on a bit of weight around their hips and thighs that they might not have had there before, that's all part of normally being a female. So it's called your childbearing hips. And whether you like them or not, that's going to happen. It's still not an excuse not to be healthy and be a healthy weight, but we've got to be all in different shapes and sizes, and you're going to change as you go. Same with boys. They often worry that they're a string bean and they want to be a big muscular person, and it'll come, but it won't come all at once. And sometimes you just have to ride it through. Yeah. So if you're making your healthy choices in your food, then the body shape you'd like will come. But don't starve yourself and don't overeat.
Yeah. So just eat what your body says?
Yeah. And knowing that most of the time, 80% of the time, you're making healthy, nutritious choices. Hannah, have you learned anything today?
Yeah, I've learned quite a bit.
And tell me one thing you're going to change in your diet for me today.
Okay, so I'm going to switch out these for maybe a bit of this.
A bit of tomato?
Yeah.
And what about after your dance class? What are you going to take?
I might take a sandwich.
Good idea. Make sure you keep it cool at school, because the other thing is about food safety, is that we've got to keep, if we're taking anything with protein foods, we've got to make sure they're kept cold. And that means like a fridge temperature. So if not, you can freeze an ice block or a bottle of water and put it in with your lunchbox. Because as much as a few bacteria in this are okay, we don't want that bacteria in your sandwich. Different bacteria.
Well, thanks a lot. I think this looks a bit more appetizing now.
Good to hear.
Well, Simone, it's been really great talking to you. I know that I've learned a lot, and I'm sure that everybody else has, so thank you a lot for being here today.
Thank you, Hannah. Bye.